Welcome, this is Reverend Four Guys in a Comic, and today we're going to be continuing on our Secret Empire event with Brave New World, issue number 2. Yes, this was actually a pretty fun issue. 3 stories within one. The first story is called Patriot. What can I say? So we have this kid, basically, has this dialogue going, and it's like, I can't sleep? How can heroes sleep? I guess they're used to, this going through this kind of stuff day by day. And he's like kind of bored in some ways, and he decides to go work in the mess hall, something that he used to do with his mom. So he decided to go do it this morning when he was thinking of her. So he's out there, and there's of course the line of all of the refugees that are at the camp. And what can I say, some bullies come up to this young girl and steal her iPad, and he goes up to confront them, and of course one of them punches him and knocks him on the ground. Hot guy's like, "Hey kid, are you fine?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." That guy's like, "Yeah, you know what? Why don't you go see Tony Stark in the lab?" So he does so, and Tony's like, "Hey, you know what? I have something of yours," and it turns out to be his binder, and it was in his backpack. And when they brought him on board, they discovered it, and inside it shows, a costume, kind of similar to a Captain America costume, I guess you can say. And Tony's like, as a thank you for help setting me straight, I had a little time and I made you that costume up. And so it's like, wow, he has this really cool costume and puts it on and decides that he's going to start training to be a hero. And so with Tony's help, there was an AI of Black Widow that has helped teaching him train. A little bit later, he goes back into the Chow line area and sees those bullies there with the iPad, and is like, you know what? You need to give that back. And of course the bullies are like, no, we're not. So all of a sudden he starts fighting the bullies and takes them out with his new costume and gives the little girl his iPad back. Well, then he decides, it's time to go to bed, and he quickly goes onto his iPad and starts talking with Spider-Man and some of the other, Teen Titans, I guess you can say. And they were in there, and they're like, "Hey, we need you to be ready to help us out. You've got your costume." And he decides to call himself the Patriot. All right, so I guess this would be the first appearance of the Patriot. Well, it breaks off to a new story. Bob, Agent of Hydra. Okay, who doesn't not love Riley Brown's Bob? Okay. So here we have a story where an Inhuman is going berserk in a grocery store area, and Hydra agents are set in to capture. And this is in Cleveland, Ohio. And so a group of the agents have to go on top of a building, and they get their harnesses on with their ropes and then their D-rings and everything, and trying to get up to the top of the building, and going, of course, by the Hydra training manual. And of course Agent Bob is like, how do I get this D-ring off? I can't get this rope off me. When all of a sudden, there is an explosion, because this Inhuman creates an explosion, knocks him off the building. Because he was still attached to the rope, he ended up going over the building and swinging down and hitting the pane of glass where he sees her. And of course she's yelling at him, and she sets off another explosion, which sends him flying out, and then swoops back in and knocks her down, and basically, gets her. And he's like, "Oh, yeah, now my D-ring came off." That's how you get this thing off. So by accident, he ended up saving the day. Kind of cool little story. The last one is part 2 of Sanctuary, back in Atlantis. Namor is in his throne room, and we have, of course, he's taken what's their faces, his buddies. God, I'm sorry, I'm having a brain fart. Took them captive. And so they're in the prison cell complaining about eating fish paste and stuff like that, and they're reminiscing about times back in 1943. And so all of a sudden there's an attack going on Atlantis, and Namor's like, "What is going on? Is this another attempt on my life?" So at this time, our guys in the prison cell decide to go ahead and try to break out, which they do. They find a shaft, which they are going through, and as they're swimming through there, they're being attacked by monsters. And when they get up to a top, there's a grate, and they're looking like, "Hey, we need help. Get us out of here." And a hand reaches down and pulls them up. And they are in part of Atlantis's throne room, I guess. Doesn't exactly say where, but they're in a room. and Namor is over there, basically interrogating one of his guys, and is like, what are you here to assassinate me? He's like, nope, it's a distraction. Turns out that when our Hammond and Toro, thank you, when they got released, they get caught by one of the guards and are brought to the throne room, where they meet up with Namora. So Namora is in the picture now. And that concludes that story as well as this issue. Secret Empire, Brave New World, issue number 2. 3 stories in one. Really enjoyed it. It's pretty good. I suggest picking this up and giving it a read. Think you'll enjoy it as much as I did. But until then, next time, remember, always, Hail Hydra. Cut off one head and 2 more shall take its place.